Today, I want to talk about diligence, but first, I want to talk about the opposite of being diligent, which is laziness. The Bible talks a lot about being lazy, and particularly in the Old Testament with Solomon and the book of Proverbs. Solomon talks a lot about how laziness can ruin a person's life and how that they should change from it very soon. In Proverbs 6 through 8, the problem I'm really looking at for laziness, it reads about how a sluggard should look at the ant. In verse 6, it says, "Go to the ant, you sluggard, consider its ways and be wise. It has no commander, no overseer, or ruler, yet it stores its provisions in summer and gathers its food at harvest." This proverb tells a lazy person to look at how the ant works without anybody telling them to, and that they should be responsible, which they aren't, clearly, and they should be always working no matter who's overseeing them or seeing what they're doing. If you look at verse 9 later on, it says, "How long will you lie there, you sluggard? When will you get up from your sleep?" This verse tells us that a lazy person might be so lazy that they won't even be able to wake up for the day to do what they need to do and accomplish. In the New Testament, Paul talks about this in 2 Thessalonians, where he reminds the Thessalonians of a rule that he told them to follow by. In 3:10, it reads, "For even when we were with you, we gave you this rule: the one who is unwilling to work shall not eat." Paul tells us here that if we ever get food, we should always work for it, and refers to when God gave the command to Adam in Genesis that he should work for his food. And after looking at laziness in the Bible, well, what about diligence? In Matthew 25, Jesus gives the parable of the bags of gold and tells us about the rewards and punishments of diligence and laziness. In verse 14 through 22, it reads about the parable of the bags of gold. In the parable, it lists how a man traveling, he gives his bags of gold to his 3 servants, one with 5, one with 2, and one with 1. The servants with 5 bags and 2 bags of gold go with it and work it all and double what they have received. But the servant with the 1 bag of gold was lazy and scared of the master, and he hid it away. And at the end of the story or parable, the servants who got the 5 bags and 2 bags of gold were rewarded because they doubled it with their diligence. But the servant with the 1 bag of gold was punished. This just shows us that God expects us to work with our talents and help us, and he will help us to by doubling it. And in another passage in Colossians 3:23, a very well-known one, it reads in Colossians 3:23, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord and not for human masters." Paul reminds the Colossians that whatever we do, we should always put forth our best effort, and that we should always think that we're serving God and we're not doing it to please human masters. In conclusion, we should always not be like the lazy person who can't get up for the day or won't work when they need to, but we should be like the diligent person who always doubles what they receive, like the 2 servants in the parable of the bags of gold, and work for God and not for man, and put forth their best effort in all they do.